This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning. It's Todd Brown. I'm the chair this year of the Atlantic Ocean Chamber of Commerce, and welcome to Ed Issues for this month. I'm excited. We got Dr. Freddie Avant speaking on something I'm very passionate about, graduate education, and we'll have time to hear what he has to say. Before we begin, we want to introduce a few VIPs in the room. We got Kathleen Ballinger with City Council. With Texas Bankers Association, Chair of the Board, Rusty Runs. And we're excited about this event and getting started. Before we do, we have the invitation with Ms. Betty Shin.
Good morning. Could you all stand, please? How wonderful it is, dear Lord, to be celebrating today with our friends in this great freedom country. And I say that very definitely, our freedom here in America. Thank you for the many blessings, dear Lord, that you have given us. You provided us rain yesterday and the sunshine today. Help us as a Chamber of Commerce to be effective in our community and do the things that would bless you and bless this community. Bless the hands that prepare the food that we have partaken of. Bless us as we go out into the community to serve you. Our blessings with our speaker today and each of you as you travel back to your workplace. Amen.
All right, now with our happenings in the chamber world and what's going on, our president and CEO, Lee Mitchell.
Thank you, Dr. Brown, and good morning, everyone. It's great to be here, and I am really anxious to hear Dr. Avant's presentation. We had a wonderful conversation preceding the breakfast this morning, and it's going to be great to hear about the situation as it relates to opportunities through SFA to continue your education. And I'm also curious kind of get some of his observations this morning on in his background in social work and how things have changed. I am pleased to say there are a few things going on at the chamber. I jokingly had an exchange this morning with Kelly Augustine, who's the executive vice president of the Chamber of Commerce. And the list of happenings that she presented to me last night on my way to the ribbon cutting. I'm not going to go through them all this morning, Kelly. But before I do that, I also want to introduce some folks in the back of the room that you should know. One is Barbara Hall, the operations vice president, who's, I believe, at the scrambled eggs at the moment. Good morning, Barbara. Also, we're pleased to have Sharon Hurst with us this morning, who's the information services, and we also have Sherry Williams with us this morning, who does membership services for the chamber, and our super volunteers Mark Hall and Bonnie Mitchell, who give us an awful lot of help. Just a few things coming out this month. First of all, the member of the month of the chamber is a flower shop and greenhouse. Live Extra 5 will be hosted by SFASU Athletics at 5:30 on November 4th. At the William R. Johnson Coliseum, be a great opportunity to see how that facility has changed with the new construction. And again, that's going to be on November 4th coming up. Juiced Up Treats and Eats will have a ribbon cutting on the 29th of October. And we've got a whole host of events coming up, which I would ask you respectfully to look at the newsletter that I typically publish on Monday morning. We do want to let you know we're going to have on another exit issues, planning events for 2022 and how it's changed. And our speaker that morning will be Michael Baxter, the City of Tomball's Marketing and Tourism Promotion Director. And it's going to be interesting. And last but certainly not least, in the area of events, the Lone Star Legislative Summit will be held here on April 7th and April 8th on campus of Stephen F. Austin State University. We're going to have some pretty exciting announcements relating to that in the next week or two. So please watch your social media, and we'll bring you up to speed on that. Want to welcome our new members, and again, I always love this part of it. This could never be long enough for me. Med Post Urgent Care, Barbara Kings, American Energy, Juiced Up Treats and Eats, Sears Hometown Nacogdoches, Ignite Financial Group, Tracy Estap, Good Bites and Grill, Well Body Solutions Incorporated, Nacasina Restaurant, and we're pleased to have some of our newer members here today. We have Dr. Matt Zamadan. Matt, Doctor, good morning. Welcome. If you don't know, he's with Dallas Pizza and Pasta and Wings, which I believe he has 2 locations, one in SFA. We're also he has one at Walmart here on North Street, and I have committed that I'm going to go over and do my restaurant review in the next week. Watch from my article. We also have Amy Still Interiors, and Christina Taylor, Reclaiming Eden Landscaping. So let's give those folks a round of applause. And I believe too we have potential members possibly with us here today. Team Esmond with 79 Photography, and Delaney Mott with the Paint House. So lots of things going on, and it's always great to welcome new members to the Chamber of Commerce. I do want to take a moment now and introduce to you my new friend, Dr. Freddie Avant, PhD. He's a full professor and serves as the Interim Dean of Research and Graduate Studies and Associate Dean and Director of the School of Social Work at Stephen F. Austin State University. He has been teaching, researching, and a practitioner in spite of his youthful appearance over there for almost 40 years. So if anybody is prepared to talk about social work and education, it's certainly Dr. Freddie. He is a licensed master's level social worker with advanced practice recognition. He has an extensive practice and research background in mental health, cultural diversity, working with individuals living with developmental disabilities, program evaluation, working in rural communities, medical social work, and administration in higher education. His presentation will include information related to pathways to learning in graduate education, and I'm pleased to say, that SFA offers those of us that reside in this area incredible opportunities to continue our education. And I know a staff member of ours, Barbara Hall, recently received, within the last couple of years, her master's degree. And so that's evidence that the program certainly works. So would you please welcome with me Dr. Freddie Avant.
Thank you so much for the introduction.
Good morning.
Good morning. It's truly a pleasure to be here this morning to talk about this particular subject, which is pretty close to my heart. I have to give credit to Dr. Sampson, the former dean, who put me on the list to do this presentation. So when I assumed the position, I was notified that I should be here. So I truly look forward to it. The topic is graduate studies, increase the well-being of communities. Let me tell you something about well-being from an individual perspective before I get into the presentation and talk about graduate education. Because I was introduced to graduate education in 1963. How was I introduced to it? In 1963, I was living in a rural community in another state, and tuberculosis hit my rural community, in which half of the town was diagnosed with tuberculosis. So the population was sent to the urban areas to get treatment, to get assessed. I had 9 siblings. I'm a middle child, 4 older and 4 younger. My mother had it. My baby brother at the time was probably about 3 months old. Everyone was diagnosed with tuberculosis, but me, the middle child. The physician who treated me was doing his internship. And he pulled me aside and he said, young man, I don't know what it is, but all your siblings have tuberculosis, but you do not. But what I also tell you is that your mother will not be going home with you or your little brother. So for the next 2 years, my mother remained in the hospital. My siblings were sent to live with family members, and I was the only one without tuberculosis. The interesting thing, about 3 or 4 years ago, I was in Chicago visiting my white brother. He came down with tuberculosis. We came back to Texas, and we had to get tested. I could not take the typical shot because of if I take it, I swell up. So I informed the local health department, I cannot take that test. I've had tuberculosis. I've been exposed to it. She said, where? I told her the town. She contacted the city. And she said, we need the result of Freddie Avant. The physician, who now is a physician, who was an intern student, graduate student, was still there. 50 years later, and believe it or not, he called me. He called me 50 years later, still there in his 80s, and said, you know, when I received this message, I was overly shocked and amazed. So I had to call you just to see how you were doing. And he went on social media and looked me up. And he gave me all these facts. He said, you know what? I knew something was great for me. I didn't know what it was medically, professionally, and I still do not understand to this day, how 9 children and a parent could have tuberculosis. And you could not. So graduate school I was touched by graduate school internship over 60 years ago, 15 years ago. And today, I'm the interim dean of research and graduate education at Stephen F. Austin State University. And I say that in a way that this subject is very, very touching for me, graduate school, and how it has impacted my life and potential. This topic, graduate school, increase the well-being of communities. So let me talk a little bit about well-being. Well-being is all about the quality of life. It's the experience that we have and how it impacts children, families, and adults. These experiences are those that are not always observable, but unnoticed. As a social work practitioner, I often volunteer my time. Here in Nacogdoches for the last 6 months, I've been taking 3-year-olds to the General Dollar Store about once a month. When I visit the Dollar Store, they run in and I say, get what you want. The last visit, each one of the 3-year-olds, they grabbed a car. They brought it to me. And said, this is what I want. I said, okay, fine. They picked up the vehicle, they grabbed it, they held on to it, they went and got into my car. The next time I see them, they have the same car. So I contacted the mothers and said, they said, you know what? They love those cars. They sleep with them, they take them to daycare with them, and I'm thinking, doing something right, it's all about me. But then what the parent told me, they said, look, I said, as a social worker, I need to understand why they love this car so much. And I know it's not about me. And they said, you know what? Each of the kids' car is the color of their father's car. So they picked the car out because there was a single parent, the father's not there, And that car means so much to them. The invisible thought of trauma and the role that I play, I connected them to that experience. But that old car has changed their life. I mean, when I picked them up, the car was all painted at night. When I picked it up, the tires are gone, the doors are missing, but they hold on to it no matter where we go. And that leads me into this discussion we talked about community and how important it is to the well-being. A high level of well-being means that the overall condition is healthy and positive. Well-being can also refer to a specific aspect of one's life, their health, the mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual aspect. And there are many other terms. Personally and professionally, the examples I've gave you represent. Well-being is impacted by the sense of health and the future vitality that arise from our thoughts, our emotions, our actions, and our experience that really shape who we are as human beings. When we have well-being, we feel happy, we're healthy, we're socially connected, we have a sense of purpose most of the time. We can improve well-being by building on certain skills and having experiences that help us to grow. Graduate education gives you this opportunity. The opportunity in our Office of Research and Graduate School can give individuals, families, and organizations opportunity to become healthy and positive. Graduate education encompasses research. Research is critical. Academic studies and teaching beyond the bachelor's degree. Graduate education leads to master's degrees, doctorate degrees, but also specialized knowledge. Not about degrees, certificates, their own possibility, the whole experience itself. But graduate education not only gives you specialized knowledge, it shapes your values, your skills, your cognitive and affective processes in terms of how you think and how you interact with people and how you make decisions. Those things improve communities. The most important factor in health and well-being relates to the use of self. The primary objective of graduate education is to prepare students to be involved, to become professional, to use their knowledge and their skills, their research ability to take leadership to bring about change. But it's also about personal and professional development. I have to say higher education has changed drastically over the last several years, especially with the impact of COVID-19. I spent 18 months outside of the classroom. I had to make major adjustment. I never taught online, never taught on Zoom. It was an experience that challenged my ingenuity, my motivation, and should I continue and retire because it's a challenge. For those of us who have adapted, we have remained. Kind of like the physician called. He's 80 years old, still practicing. And remember me. Course delivery in graduate education has changed. Anybody can get a graduate degree anytime they want to, dress any way they want to, any time of day, because all graduate programs have been impacted by changing the delivery, online, face-to-face. It doesn't matter. In fact, the competition exists now because there are invisible lines for educational experience. Nationally, state by state, nationally, as well as internationally. But I have to say, when you talk about communities and well-being, there's something unique about trauma-informed communities. Because when trauma hit communities, it impacts all of us. It impacts our spirit, our soul, our size, our emotion, our culture, our pain, and our suffering. The anatomy of well-being of communities is what I call the heart. And what the heart refers to, the H stands for help. We all need help. At some point in our life, over the course of a lifetime, you need help. had a graduate student tell me once in my class I was teaching, she said, Dr. Avant, once an adult, twice a child. I thought about that. I said, you learn a lot from the student. Once an adult, twice a child. When you come into this world, you're a child. If you live long enough, you will manifest the same characteristics of a child. And that always stuck with me. So health, the heart. The other thing is ability. When you get to ability, continue to progress in the educational experience. Graduate school. The graduate school is just a tremendous experience. The other thing is our abilities. Graduate education, being resourceful. And the T in heart refers to the threat of disruption. When we talk about well-being, there's always going to be this disruption. But how do we, as individually, collectively prepare for the disruption? Graduate education studies can increase the well-being by transforming our community, one student at a time. For almost 100 years, SFA has been widely recognized for its outstanding academic reputation, beautiful campus, and vibrant community. We produce experienced, engaged, and successful graduates who can live lives that impact all communities. But to transform this experience and having SFA, it does not happen by accident. Those experiences are a result of intentional giving by dedicated alums, friends, supporters, faculty, staff, and community. Transformative experience in graduate school and SFA aren't words that are lived by reality. For thousands of alums and other individuals at the local, state, and national level, as well as local. We at SFA, we offer master's degrees, pre-doctoral degrees that prepare leaders, practitioners, pioneers for all respective fields. What does a graduate school consist of? What is the academic experience? What are the opportunities? We have a computer over here, which really shows. Yeah, I'm gonna run through some of them. I mean, I'm gonna just say that there are 16 online master's degrees at SFA. 16. There's 18 graduate certificates, 17 online teaching certificates. There's all type of internships. Internship can change communities. And the research impact is enormous. One of the things I want to mention finally is that at SFA, we have the graduate school include academic programs, but the research changes the lives of people. I mean, there are several programs that are going on across Nacogdoches and across the state that are impacting lives, enhancing community. One of the statistics that I was able to discover, I asked our grant person, how much money have we invested in research for grants over the last 4 years? And she said, SFA has received $33 million. That's a lot of investment in rural community to change well-being. What you will see behind me are the many programs that exist at SFA. In fact, let me just mention something. Let's go back.
Yeah, you can just tell me which slide.
Let's go back. Right there. I'll just do this one. Let's stop right here. That one, this one right here. It's the pillar of learning. I've talked about, I cannot impress upon the importance of graduate education and research. Keep going. Keep going. Continue. Right here. Research opportunity. This put the emphasis on how important research is. Next one. Right here, right there. These are some of the grants that are changing changing communities and health and well-being. And this is only a small sample. The Jack Beach program, which is going on in our science program, the STEM program, the GEAR proposal. We're proposing to revisit the GEAR program next year and put in a grant for the GEAR program. The nursing program, which is part of here, grant establishes the family nursing education program. The child with professional development program, which I want to mention Dr. Bellinger. She started that 20, 30 years ago. And it has touched kids across the whole state of Texas, and it's still in existence. The Better Together program, which is the program that Dr. Cooper is leading, that is going on in the community, which you also probably have heard of. Substance abuse opioid. The School of Social Work just finished a program that focused on the impact of opioid in rural communities, the health and well-being. All these activities can have a significant impact on enhance the well-being of communities. Next. Now, I'm just going to roll through all these programs for the last 3 minutes to notice all of the different programs. Just keep going, and I'm just going to mention at the end of all the academic programs, we're starting investment in doctorate education. There's a couple of the doctorate programs that will be coming on board over the next year. One of them is education that relates to curriculum instruction. And the other programs that we will be starting that I'm excited about is that we will have a doctorate associate that will begin next fall as well. It is a practice-oriented degree that I hope will invest in this community and really focus on enhancing the well-being of individuals, families, groups, and organizations, and creating opportunities for future students and community leaders to be involved. Thank you.
You have questions? Dr. Avant, can we have a couple of questions?
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
First of all, how much availability are of these programs through distance learning for folks actively engaged in business activities today? Is that a possibility?
That is a possibility. In fact, we have 16 online programs. But by the nature of the demand, all our programs are exploring the ability to deliver it online, virtually or face-to-face. There's a tremendous push because of the nature of the competition and the demand, the programs we place online. So if you're interested in a particular program, I would suggest you just contact the department, because we're all in the process of transitioning our academic programs in a way that it's available for the community. Yes.
Will the online program along with face-to-face run concurrently?
Some will. I mean, what we are experiencing right now, fortunately, unfortunately, when you place your program online, it grows. The face-to-face shrinks. And it's a struggle, because think about I'm a dinosaur as well, but I'm transitioning. We have a lot of faculty that don't want to teach online. That class that have had 40, 50 people in it. When we go online, you got 50 people in class. Over here, you got 3. So it's a balance in that. And we have that discussion. How can we sustain our face-to-face, which we believe is rich? But the online program exploded. In my own program, my home department, social work, we put our advanced standing MSW online. It has tripled. Our face-to-face, 8, 9 students. And now we're saying, how can we balance this? In fact, the university is struggling and asking the question is that, how can we get faculty to teach in the growth of our program? Because faculty now want to live in another world. We have never had a tenure track faculty member at SFA online. So the discussion is, how can we attract faculty to teach these courses with growth, but we have never seen it face to face? How do you evaluate a faculty member on a tenure track when tenure is peer driven? Scholarship, advising, and the committee votes that, well, I'm voting on somebody I've never seen before. So that's the struggle that not only we are dealing with at SFA in the graduate school, but other programs as well.
Out of the graduate school right now, how many of these kids come through the undergrad and then go right into the master's? How many are then go work for a couple of years and then go back?
We just had a discussion earlier this week. I asked the same question. We have I'm going to say we have a good number operationally, but it's not as large as we should. Because one of the things that we have not done, we have not invested in the graduate school for recruitment. We have primarily focused on undergrad. We're just now coming to a point that we're planning to invest in our undergraduates and graduate education. So I don't know the actual numbers. I had the same questions and that information comes to me, but I was told it's not a lot, whatever that might be. In fact, we were going to have one of the first virtual recruiting events on November 9th at SFA for graduate recruitment for our students. We sent 100,000 emails that include all our juniors and seniors, international, and this we've gotten from other institutions. And we're going to see what that turn out. Thank you.
Impact Lufkin, are you guys still sending students down there to help out?
Yes. That program, I mean, that's a good program. I should have known about research. That is a powerful program. We have intern students there. It's growing. When you talk about changing community and well-being, I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm on the board of that organization. When we started it, we're just getting ready to build our first house in Lufkin with the Impact Lufkin. Dynamite programs. I mean, when you talk about well-being, I mean, I can't think of a better program right now. Yes.
First of all, a comment. You might be interested to know, and those in the audience, that Erin Wyndham, who chairs the Chamber's Education Committee, and her group are poised to send out a survey, I believe, to the Chamber membership that will ask the question about companies that have a willingness to subsidize folks that are anxious to continue their education. Right. And we certainly will share that information with you once we receive the information back. The other comment, based on what you said about the lack of interaction with faculty through distance learning, is that the reason that universities like Harvard and others are requiring, before you finalize your designation, your degree, one semester on campus?
Yes. And university, it's new for university higher education. Definitely tenure track people, individuals that you sign a contract with that is going through this process where they get tenure and then they earn certain rights and responsibilities. But we all are struggling with it. I mean, across the nation, because it is hard to find faculty. It's competitive. You have a lot of virtual universities that's faculty in jobs, and they have multiple opportunities. In fact, some of our applicants are currently working for 3 or 4 institutions. They might be teaching, 10 classes a semester, and they're experiencing financial reward. However, what is the quality? So that's the other struggle with graduate education, is how do you sacrifice quality by creating availability that we all want to. Great job. Thank you.
Well, great job.
Now it's time.
Draw some prizes. First of all, I want to thank Freddie over there. He's still director of school social work. And if he can put the heart and soul into the leadership as he's put into the school social work, it's going to be a great place.
Thank you.
Look forward to what you get coming in the future. So, give us some money.
$50. You need a volunteer from commercial bank to come and draw for the $50. All right, Who is they?
That's right.
Who's our winner, Brad?
It is Johnny Hargrove.
All right. Now it's $250. Chamber membership has to be the business name and the person's name, the contact name.
We
And
had this winner about a week ago.
they want 1,000, but it's $250 here. And Ashley and Rhodey and Jennifer Gage is here, so
They have to be here.
you have to be present to win.
I think what was the last time I drew Kelly?
Yeah, present to win. So who's our potential winner?
Buddy Home Furnishings, Chris Rasson.
Oh. Maybe next time.
Well, with that, we thank you for coming out and hope you enjoy your rest of your day and hopefully get some time to come to SFA and experience what's going on with the graduate program. Thank you.
Great.